Betrayal rarely arrives with the sound of an explosion. More often, it is as quiet as the steady hum of a refrigerator in an empty kitchen or the faint vibration of a smartphone resting on a marble countertop. People say the hardest part of a lie is not telling it, but maintaining it. It is the relentless, exhausting effort of making shattered pieces of a broken mirror appear whole enough to pass for a window. I sat alone in the darkness of our living room, the kind of carefully designed darkness that wealth often creates, and stared at the clock on the wall. 12:12. The numbers seemed to stare back at me like a pair of watchful eyes. My wife Elena had sent a text 3 hours earlier. "Late dinner with clients," she said. "Don't wait up," she said. "I love you," she said. The words felt familiar, comfortable, reassuring. They were also completely false. I knew because I was holding a blue silk shirt across my lap. It didn't belong to me. I have always preferred tailored cotton. This shirt was bold, expensive, and carried the scent of a cologne that wasn't in my cabinet. It belonged to Chris, my business partner. Chris, the man who stood at our wedding and toasted me as the luckiest man alive. Chris, who had apparently decided to share in that good fortune behind my back for the past 7 months. I didn't experience the kind of rage people describe in movies. There was no red haze, no shattered glass, no dramatic outburst. Instead, there was a cold, crystal clear certainty. It felt like the final piece of a puzzle clicking into place, revealing an image I had been too afraid to see. I remembered how Chris always glanced at his watch whenever Elena entered the office. I remembered Elena's sudden interest in market analytics every Friday night. I remembered the weekends she supposedly spent visiting her mother. The shirt had been stuffed into the back of our guest room closet, forgotten in the rush of a secret that had become far too comfortable. I picked up my phone. My thumb hovered over the screen. I could hear my heartbeat, slow and steady, echoing like a distant drum in a cavern. I wasn't only losing a wife, I was losing a legacy. Together, we had built a company. We had earned a reputation. We had created a life that appeared flawless from the outside, but a house built over a sinkhole will collapse eventually, no matter how beautifully it is painted. I typed a message, 7 words, simple, precise, devastating. "Tell Chris I want my shirt back." Then I pressed send. The silence afterward was complete, the silence of a fuse slowly burning. 1 minute passed, then another. I stared at the screen. Finally, the 3 dots appeared, the heartbeat of a dying lie. Elena was typing. Then she stopped. The dots appeared again. I could picture everything as clearly as if I were standing beside her. I imagined the color draining from her face in some dimly lit restaurant booth or hotel room. I imagined her showing the message to Chris. I imagined the panic, the frantic calculations, the sudden realization that the game was over and the referee had already left the field. She didn't call. She didn't text back. Not for a long time. At 12:20, the location sharing she always kept active for safety suddenly disappeared. A digital confession. If she had been innocent, she would have laughed. She would have asked what I meant. She would have sounded confused. Instead, she vanished. Because she knew exactly which shirt I was holding. She understood that the blue silk wasn't merely a piece of clothing. It was a flag of surrender. I didn't wait for her to return home. I had no interest in tears, excuses, or desperate explanations about how it just happened or how we had grown apart. Nothing just happens. People make choices, one brick at a time, until they have built a wall between themselves and the person they once promised to love. I walked into my office and opened my laptop. I didn't look at photographs. I reviewed the partnership agreement. I studied the morality clauses we had written years earlier, ironically designed to protect our company from scandal. I reviewed every exit strategy. By 2 in the morning, I had sent an email to our board of directors. I didn't include details. I simply informed them that an irreconcilable conflict involving a breach of fiduciary and ethical trust Required an emergency meeting at 9 a.m. I blind copied Chris. I wanted him to see the blade before it dropped. I wanted him to spend the remaining hours of his professional dignity wondering how much I intended to take. The answer was simple: everything. The first light of dawn seeped through the curtains, pale and sickly yellow. At 6:15, the front door quietly clicked open. Elena stepped inside. She looked like a shadow of the woman I had married. Her eyes were red-rimmed. Her hair was slightly disheveled. For a moment, she didn't notice me. I sat in the darkness of a wingback chair, the blue shirt still spread across my knees. Then she saw me. She froze. She didn't scream. She didn't speak. She simply stood there, gripping her keys as though they were a weapon she no longer knew how to use. "It was Chris's favorite," I said. My voice sounded rough and dry. "He wore it to the company anniversary party last year, remember?" Her lower lip trembled. "Julian, Don't," I interrupted softly. "Please don't tell me it was a mistake. Forgetting milk is a mistake. A typo is a mistake. This was a long series of deliberate decisions. You didn't just break my heart, Elena. You tried to rewrite our history. You tried to make me look foolish in my own home and inside my own company." She stepped toward me, reaching out. "We can fix this," she pleaded. "We can leave. Just the two of us. We'll walk away from the firm." I stood. The shirt slipped from my lap and landed on the floor. It looked pathetic there, nothing more than a crumpled heap of silk. "The firm is already being fixed," I replied. "I called the board. Chris is being removed. The morality clause both of you signed covers conduct unbecoming of a partner. Sleeping with the CEO's wife while charging personal dinners to the company card qualifies perfectly. He's losing his shares at a fraction of their worth. And as for us, there is no us anymore. There's only a house that needs to be sold and a life that needs to be cleaned of what remains." I walked past her. I didn't feel victorious. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt like a man stepping away from the wreckage of a sinking ship. I picked up my coat and headed for the door. "Where are you going?" she cried. "To the office," I answered without turning around. "I have a meeting at 9, and Elena, tell Chris he can keep the shirt. I've realized I don't want anything that belongs to him in my house." I stepped into the cool morning air. The city was waking up, unaware that my world had ended and begun again within the span of a single night. I had won the battle. I had taken his career, his reputation, and his financial future. I had exposed the lie. Yet as I sat in my car and looked at the empty passenger seat, I understood the harshest truth of all. Revenge is a cold meal, and when the last bite is gone, the hunger remains. I started the engine and drove toward the ruins of my empire, prepared to build something new from the ashes of a blue silk shirt.